This is a video about the steps required to become a clinical neuropsychologist, and it will be a brief guide specifically for those currently pursuing an undergraduate degree in psychology. The field of psychology is largely broken up into two main parts, practical and research. Practical fields include things like clinical psychology, counseling, social work, industrial and organizational psychology, and forensic psychology. To become a clinical psychologist, you will need to obtain either a PhD or a PsyD and receive proper certification. If you want to become a counselor or a social worker, however, you only need a master's degree as well as certification. Industrial and organizational psychologists apply psychology into the field of business usually, and this requires generally a master's level education. Forensic psychology deals with criminal justice, and it generally requires a PhD or a PsyD. As for the research side of psychology, some people will prefer to work in labs or just perform research, but most commonly you would aspire to become a professor. If you like the liberal arts more, and you want to study overall human interaction, you can consider things like lifespan or social psychology. But if you prefer the natural sciences more, you can consider things like experimental or cognitive psychology, biopsychology, behavioral and cognitive neuroscience, cognitive neuropsychology, or even psychophysics. Clinical neuropsychology in particular is a specialization of clinical psychology. Part of the job is to take patient information and work with numbers and statistics. Clinical neuropsychologists investigate the correlations between physical brain matter and processes and behaviors and emotions. To become one, you will need the PhD or the PsyD in clinical psychology, roughly 2 years of postdoctoral training in neuropsychology, and certification. It has an average job growth of about 3% through the year 2029, and the average salary is about $100,000. The Holland personality types for this career are social and investigative. You will need to be a very understanding and communicative person to be responsible for clinically treating other people in a medical or in a clinical space. Additionally, you will have to be willing to investigate scientific evidence about human psychology and the nervous system. Are you good at logical deduction? Do you think you can conceptualize the physical human brain and the body in terms of how it causes a person to feel and behave? A neuropsychologist's primary job is to determine the pathological cause behind an impairment that a patient is troubled with. The job is to administer extensive psychometric testing such that you can determine very specific abnormalities to the patient's brain. After determining this, you devise a clinical plan for treating the patient over time. Think of it like you are a traditional clinical psychologist, but now you focus on the human brain and physical causes of behavior. I hope you got something out of this video, and links will be provided in the description for further information on this career field.